she can tell me. Yes. Oh, still more heart. She's steady.
You just help somebody because you help me too. What you got? Well, hello, beautiful people. It's Mommy Mondays. Listen, y'all already know, so don't DM me, don't at me about it. Y'all know how the 2-year-old do. He has been a part of Mommy Mondays the last couple of Mondays, and today is no different. He can see Halloween candy at the top of my closet, and he is not having it. He is stuck right here next to me. Listen, if you're just jumping in here on YouTube, do me a favor. Go ahead and like, subscribe to the channel, and then guess what I would like for you to do? Share this. Share it with someone so that they can know that Mommy Mondays has started. Whew, don't we all need to breathe? Jackson, you want to take a breath? All right. Come on. We can do this. Let's go. So listen, I'm super excited to be here today. Of course, I am, navigating this space of making it all work, making it all come together. And listen, we have celebrated HBCU month all last month. It was so beautiful. Spelman College, Tuskegee University, Alabama State University, Jackson State University. And it was so beautiful to bring all of the sisterhood together for moms who have had their own personal HBCU experiences. And guess what? All this month, we're speaking to people with a cause, okay? Everybody has embedded their time, embedded their soul, embedded their spirit into something. We're digging ourselves deep into something. And guess what? This month will be no different. Jackson, no, you can't have that. So guess what? This month, we're going to have some conversations with some moms, some dads, some people who care for children the most. And I'm super excited. And today is no different. Listen, I have an amazing mom, an entrepreneur. Listen, y'all, she does all the things, okay? And when you see her hair, listen, it's up. She has a whole mane out, okay? She reminds me of a lioness. Do you hear me? Just remind me of a lioness. Just beautiful. And there's a reason for that. The lovely, the beautiful, the talented, the amazing mom and entrepreneur, Miss Tysha. Hello, beautiful.
Hello.
How are you?
How are you? Hey. I'm not talking to you, Ebony. I'm talking to him.
I know. He's talking to Jackson. Listen, honey. He just like, again,
the hair
mommy.
scared him.
He's like, again, mommy, you're here. Again, we're doing this again. Yes, we are. We're doing this again. But I'm so excited to have you with me tonight. And of course, we always start with the same 3 questions. I want you to tell me who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Well, I am Tysha Nichole. I'm the owner of Munet Naturals, which is an all-natural skincare line for people of color, specifically African Americans. And I started because I was a new mom and infatuated, if not crazy, about all the chemical toxins that were in the body washes, facial, skincare and things like that. And I started doing my research and talking to my doctors. And I just didn't like what I saw. And I just started in my kitchen and started making stuff for myself. And then for my son when he was born. And it just went from there. And upon request, we just started making different things. We meaning me and God, because it's me. And I literally we're 2.5 years later. I'm pleased to say that we are still rolling. And I'm really appreciative of the love that everybody shows me. But more importantly, I'm still excited about it. Like it's new, I'm still really excited about it. And it's needed. I just didn't realize. I thought it was going to be my little thing. I didn't realize that
You thought you was just doing something for yourself.
Yeah.
And guess what? It turned out to be something that everybody needed. I mean, I think when I first got into the idea of natural products, I didn't realize what was in everything that I was using. I didn't realize
Yep.
it when I got into, I think it was when I first got into essential oils. And I
Yeah.
learned about them and what they can do and how natural they are. I was like, wow, this is so great. And then they asked me, now what's in the products that you're using? I was like, I don't know. And
Yep.
they do like this little activity where they make you go in your bathroom cabinet and read the back of
And
the
read the back of.
products. And I think that was when I really first got into like, oh, what's on the label?
Well, I actually, when I had hormonal cystic acne during the pregnancy, and what scared me was the prescriptions. I didn't even start with what was in my house. I was so alarmed with what the doctor was prescribing me and what was
Mm.
in that sent me into the frenzy of turning over the labels. And I just couldn't believe. And I guess in moderation, um, any and everything is allowed. And so that was logical to me. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but what wasn't was when I realized that I was trusting the standard of it being tested on skin and not realizing that they're not testing African Americans. So to say that you don't know what this will do to my skin, while it may not be unhealthy for me, you just don't even know the side effects. Um, so I just said, you know what? If I'm just doing this for myself, I'm just doing it for myself. And it turned out that there were a lot of people who, outside of pregnancy and childbirth and things like that, are um, keenly aware that most mass-produced cosmetic products are not made for us. And
Right.
concerned about having an alternative with a comparable price point, because that was another thing. When I did find the all natural alternative, it wasn't affordable as a new mom. It just wasn't.
And I think that that's a part of it too that people don't think about. When you think about what it looks like for us to really dive in to caring for ourselves, we don't think about that first big organ. Christine said
Mhm.
it. It's the largest organ on our bodies. Like we're taking care of, or we think we're taking care of everything else, but we forget to take care of our skin. Melanated people are the most unlikely to wear sunscreen. We
Yep.
don't think that we can get skin cancer, because we're
Yep.
melanated. We might be less likely to get it, but we're more likely because we overexpose ourselves without
Exactly.
caring for our skin. So it's little things like that that we don't pay attention to. I'm not going to say we forget about, because a lot of times they just don't draw attention to it in our communities, that the
Exactly.
importance of wearing sunscreen. Just because you're melanated doesn't mean you don't protect your skin. And so,
Exactly.
and then even that, what's in the sunscreen that you're putting on? It makes you do
Yep.
a domino effect. And I remember when my passion for diving into labels got even greater once I had my kids, because I was like, wait, what am I putting on my baby?
Exactly. Exactly.
If I'm
I
if I'm
think,
worried about what I'm putting on me, what am I putting on my baby? So
and when you said the domino effect, what's been so divine about this particular journey of mine is that it started with skincare, but it led me to start um wanting to like get into growing my own food. And because as I started researching and just doing my work, I realized that the skin is an indicator of internal issues, so if you can figure out, it's great. Again, it can be affordable and practical for you to focus on topical ointments and just body washes and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like
right.
that's totally affordable. Um, but if you actually start figuring out where you're breaking out, you can start focusing on actual, your kidneys, a certain part of your face, for gut issues. And so it's been really it's just been a beautiful path, and again, I just really think like some people are scared to do it because they think it requires like this full overhaul where you just throw everything away in your bathroom. And it's just not necessary in that way. There are practical ways for you to really just focus on, 'cause some people don't have a skincare routine per se. Some people seriously,
I
you
don't.
That's what I'm saying. For somebody like you, it's simple. We're talking a body wash. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to do all the things. And it's important to realize that like everything should be practical. You're not going to start exercising and go from 0 to every day a week, an hour or more a day. It's just not realistic. Is he?
He's playing in my clothes. Don't mind him. But you are so
It's
accurate.
just not realistic.
And I think that one of the things we don't think about too is the power we have to choose. The power we have to choose.
Yeah.
Because I remember when, in all of my knowledge, all my research, like I started researching with my daughter when I had her, got a little smarter, had my second child, got real, much, much smarter. By the time I got to the doctor with him, I was like, hey, I brought my own shampoo for you to wash his hair. I brought my own soap for you to clean him. I brought my own everything because I didn't even know that I could do that.
Yep.
I didn't know that I had the choice to choose. I thought whatever they did at the hospital, I had to take it.
I
had
remember
to do it.
telling them, don't put lotion on him. And she looked at me. She didn't say anything, thank God, because I was still hormonal. But the looks and you question yourself because I have been known for prior to having him to being all things makeup and hair care and all of that. So this shift seemed out of place, so to speak, as far as like, all natural is concerned. But I just realized it didn't have to be whatever preconceived notion I had or other people had. And it literally didn't have to be stereotypical either. We're not talking not washing. We're not, you know what I mean? It just simply is little tweaks, little changes, and just being conscious enough to read. You know what I mean? Some people don't have a problem with
Right.
certain chemicals, and that's fine. I think if you grew up like I did with eczema, and you know that it's hereditary and your children have a higher propensity of having that, or you like me get pregnant and then your skin blows up and you go 30 years without ever having skin issues, I think I just you literally can start wherever you are and make it practical and easy. It just doesn't have to be this really life-changing event, because I promise you, the small steps are the ones that count, because you usually don't stick with like things that when you throw everything away and you
Right.
spend $200-300, it's hard to stick with stuff like that.
It
That
is.
because
Baby steps. Yeah.
any life event can, like with COVID, so many people lost income, and job security was. Who's going to stick to $100+ routine when you have so much uncertainty? But it just has to be simple. I tell people, just start small.
And then we'll transition to something else. But I think another important thing is, pick one thing that you can hold on to. Like, so for me, I may not know all the fancy names and stuff on the back of a product when I read them. But what I want to do is, one, be able to pronounce it all and know
Yep.
what it is. And two, my biggest thing that I try not to buy in my products is SLS.
Right.
That's the number one thing. I'm like, okay, let me read the products. Does it have SLS in it? I know that's my number one thing. And then, I think the other thing too is knowing that the first ingredient you read is that's the most of that, correct?
Yes,
Like the first thing you read.
I have gotten a lot of questions about how to start reading ingredients. And I've thought about it myself, not necessarily series or anything, but just that little one tidbit, or so that people aren't getting taken advantage of. And that's where I was coming from with it, because if you know that shea butter does you well, and you see a product advertised as shea butter body wash, but you realize that there's a certain point in which everything under that is less than 1%. If you see shea butter and you see where it is, and it's not the first, second, or third ingredient, but closer to the end of it. So it's funny you would say that, because for me, again, the perspective, and that's the great thing about it. It doesn't matter which end of the spectrum you're coming from, whether it be you're concerned about how much of whatever is first and someone else is concerned, is this one ingredient that I love actually even in here enough to make a difference, but just knowing how to read your ingredient label can change the game for you, no matter where you're coming from, with it. So you look at Mommy Mondays. You have given me something to do. Because
Listen,
it's
I mean,
confirmation and affirmation that you're on the right track, where two or more
yes.
agree that, look, this is a problem for us,
It's a problem. People do not know how to read labels. And only
Mhm.
reason I do, like I said, is because I got into essential oils. And well, I was like, so you mean to tell me that somebody can call something a pure oil and it's 10%
Yep.
essential oil because there's no FDA regulations, there's
Yep.
no standard on it. So the flower water that you get at Walmart is
Mhm.
in the same category as the
Let them
pure
know.
oil because there's
Let
no
them know.
regulation on it. They like, oh no, this is essential oil, this pure.
Yep.
But
Or all of the people, or how using the term all natural doesn't have any parameters, and there
right.
is no governing body. I recently here wanted to launch. I have been growing my own herbs, and I wanted to do herbal tea blends. And I realized I'm putting the brakes on this, because what people don't realize is anybody can spew out or quote the benefits of a particular herb, but what they can't do is tell you what it's going to do in relation to a pre-existing condition you have. So there may be a herb that's
Right.
great for anxiety and depression, but terrible if you have high blood pressure. And um, it's just interesting that there has to be a level of integrity that you operate with, and realizing that not everybody operates under the same guise, or simply doesn't know, because people are enthusiastic about getting into this too, and entrepreneurship is super trendy, right now.
Hmm.
So I think there's concern there that it doesn't take much for you to say uh what you are, and you can put it out and you can do that thing, but really be missing some serious ethics in regards to how you do what you do, and you put people in danger. Because for somebody like me with eczema, you want fragrance, you want to smell good. If you're, a woman, you want to smell feminine, or if you're selling to men as an entrepreneur, you want masculine scents. And it's a really hard thing to tell somebody, hey, um, I don't think this product is good for you because it has essential oils in it, and you have a skin condition it can be an irritant, even though I keep the ratio below um, that guideline. That's hard, especially when you're starting out and you need new business and you want. But I didn't realize how many me rejecting was sending people my way. Because it was legitimizing the fact that I'm not just gonna sell you anything to make a dollar. Um, I'm not gonna bust hell wide open for 19.99.
There we go.
Sorry.
Come on now. People being
Sorry.
integral in their business.
Yeah, I'm
You got
sorry.
you have to carry some integrity. You can't just be producing. And and I know this isn't the same business, but this is why I got out of the banking industry. I got into the
I
banking
did retail
industry,
banking too.
you know,
Let me tell
and
you.
they got to a
Mhm,
point where they were pushing products on the elderly that I just didn't agree with. And I
mhm,
said, you know what? When I first came here, this was fantastic. This was great. But now you guys have gotten greedy. And
mhm.
I just can't keep working here when you're going to be calling people like my grandmother, asking them to refinance their home,
Yep. Or
giving
making
them
it part of my um my review.
right. I'm just like, no, no, no. There has to be some integrity there, and I'm so glad you kind of transition into that angle because integrity is a really big thing. And when I think about integrity, I think about doing what's right when no one is watching.
Mhm.
You know, and when I think about that, a lot of people when they look at parents and they look at us and what we're doing and how we're doing things and what we're doing when other people aren't watching,
Yep.
how we're caring for our kids, how we're talking to our kids, how we're providing for our kids. Talk a little bit about what it looks like for you to be integral as an entrepreneurial parent.
Well, I will say that If I have to be honest, it's a new thing. I mean, generationally, it's a new thing. It's for me, um a lot of this wasn't necessarily talked about because there was a lack of awareness about what it you, I mean, I don't, and I would have to say I don't know that the generation before us and my family was unaware. I just think that I'm the first in my immediate family um, to go this route. And
Navigating that
so
space, the newness
exactly
of it all.
right. So in addition to working full time, you're running a business, you're doing all the things. I mean, working a 9 to 5 is hard enough when you're parenting, and then having the time, um, you know, because I got to source the products, then I got to make the products. I have to produce the products, then I have to market the products. You know what I mean? And so there's
There's
it's
no team. It's me. Like people are
it's
like,
me
oh,
it's
why don't you
me and
ask the
Jesus.
assistant? Assistant. What you mean? The assistant is me.
It is Jesus, okay? It's Jesus. It's me and Jesus. So I think it's so new for me generationally that I honestly I took parenting classes. You know what I'm saying? Um I got into therapy and for a number of reasons, but one of the most important ones was that if I want to do a new thing, I need a certain skill set because it's just rational thinking. And if I need the tools to do a new thing. And I can't even, and at the beginning, I can't even articulate what this is. I just know I need it to be different than what I experienced in a lot of ways. And I also know that because I'm doing something so new, I don't have the framework for what healthy looks like doing this. And I'm going to need somebody who is okay with having an uncomfortable conversation with me and not worried about, pissing me off. And I'm going to need somebody who understands that I'm raw. Um, and I need them to do it in a way that honors me, because there's a lot of people who can keep it real with you. But if it feels like condemnation and not conviction, it's not going to be able to help you until you get healthy enough to hear what they said. So I just
Ooh.
didn't want my growth stunted because I know people mean well. I'm an only child. I don't even keep people around me in my intimate circle that I would have a problem receiving information from. But it doesn't mean that I'm always in a healthy place enough to receive that information. And so I need to make sure that I'm positioning myself with every resource so that in the event that I stumble on something or something comes up in my life, somebody professionally can articulate that in a way that I can receive it because I don't have time. And that's what was happening at the beginning. I don't have time to play catch up, or that's what I felt because I wasn't trusting. Simply put, I thought I was behind, and I was worried. And so I just felt like I didn't have the time to play catch up. And I didn't need, like I said, for people to have um, real advice, that I needed to hear. But because I wasn't in a good space, I didn't want to set myself back by not being able to receive what they were saying. So I did all the
Mm.
things.
That's
You
so
know?
good because, people don't talk about the idea that society places this pressure of you making you feel like you're behind
Oh God.
because you're not behind. It's just the idea and the thought of the weight of society making you feel like you're behind. And I know we were talking earlier just about,
Mhm.
tending to our children and what it looks like earlier before this live started, y'all. So don't think you missed something. You didn't miss nothing. We talking about before the live, okay? We were talking just about, people giving us advice and
Mhm.
telling us how we should raise our kids and,
The
what we should be
unsolicited
doing with
parent
our
advice.
kids. That unsolicited parenting advice. I didn't ask you. I didn't ask
Mhm.
you. Now, if I ask you and you tell me something, then I am in a position to be open and receptive to receive whatever it is that you have to say. But if I didn't ask you and you give it to me, I don't have to receive it.
And I think there is, when you are asking and your hands are up and you're like, Lord, help me. You know what I'm saying? You are open to guidance from any and everywhere, because you are seeking. You know what I'm saying? You're unsure and you're seeking. And it can be dangerous. But even when it's for you, you got to know yourself. You know what I'm saying? You got to know yourself. And when you're unsure about yourself, I think sometimes we handicap ourselves too, because we are getting the guidance that we have been in prayer about. And then you're too raw, to receive it when somebody, you know what I'm saying? Because my people, I instruct them, I implore them. If you see something, don't wait until I ask you if it's a problem. You know what I mean? In love, help me. But that goes both ways. You don't just get to do you when you do me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you still gotta honor me and put some respect on it. And that's what I mean by knowing yourself. You know when you don't have the right circle. You know when there's not one time I've felt some kind of way when an intimate friend or family member has given me guidance, and I knew immediately that it was me and not them. It wasn't the way they said it. It wasn't the way. I knew it was me. I was either embarrassed or whatever. But you also know when someone is projecting, and you know when someone is out of order. And I'm very keenly aware of when someone is out of order with me. And some days I'm not, you can't lie. Some days it's easier said than done not to let it get to you. But that's why I keep my spiritual life so real. Like, it is a daily practice. You know what I mean? Because I have to be able to quiet the noise. You know, the old school saying, you eat the fish and spit out the bones. Like, I have to be able to spit out what isn't for me at this time. You know what I'm saying?
Let me tell you, you said something so good that I gotta go back to. And I'm gonna slide the church on in there. Any way I can slide the church in, I'm gonna.
We need it.
Listen,
We need it around here.
You said that you have to be able to receive it in love, and they need to be able to give it in love. Let me tell y'all something. We're gonna insert this right here. Public service announcement. I feel like Toby. Okay, okay.
I love him. I love Fat more.
Service announcement. Okay, listen. Stop trying. You better learn how to approach people in love.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you don't have no business opening your mouth saying nothing to nobody.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't do it in love,
yeah,
you broken yourself, but you trying to tell somebody something.
And you bind yourself, because when people are in covenant relationship with God and you set them off path or you take them too low, you're gonna have to he gonna see you.
You're gonna have to answer for that.
And but more importantly, there's this saying, and I can't remember, like, I see it sometimes and it says anonymous, but at times I also there's a name under it, but I can't remember. But it's truth without compassion is brutality. So you don't have a right, even in love, to dishonor me without speaking, especially when you're talking my truth. Okay? Now, you can come to me with an opinion or whatever, but you don't get to disrespect me or dishonor me with the truth that you think you know about me. I should be affirmed when I leave you. I should feel supported when I leave you and your advice. And just because it's true doesn't mean that you dare open your mouth and take someone off, especially if you have been burdened with the knowledge of knowing that this person is low or raw or at a crossroads or anything significant in life. You know what I'm saying? And I think people have a hard time just listening because most people aren't taught to listen. It's very uncomfortable. Have you ever been venting to somebody and they are just listening? It's the most uncomfortable thing sometimes because
And
you
not
haven't been
actively listening either. Just
because
listening, just hearing
hello
you.
because you also haven't been clear about what you need. See, you should have said, I'm looking for advice. You know what I'm saying? But when you say, I just need to talk, and somebody actually listens to you, when that's not what you want or you need, you become uncomfortable. And most people don't listen to hear you. You know what I'm saying? And so I just think um, when you're on this path of motherhood, entrepreneurship or whatever, I don't have all the answers. I'm still working it out. But what I will say is you have got to guard and protect your heart in a way that dating never taught you. You know, because we say that all the time and we throw that out there all the time in relationship. But you have got to, your babies, you have got to guard what you let penetrate you when it comes to your children, you know? Not for the fact that every child is different, you know? Even
As
if I could
as we
do,
see,
you have three, you could do the same thing with all three of them, and it's
and it
not
would not
gonna
work.
be received if because they're all different.
They're all different, and they all need something different. They all we I have to love them each differently. I
Mhm.
give them attention differently. Like, and some people say, "Oh, I love all my kids the same." You better not, because if
Hello.
you do, you gonna have a problem. You have to love them the way they need to be loved. When we talk about love languages, it's not about just in a relationship. Children
Exactly.
have love languages too. And so if you out here, oh, I love all my kids the same, you wrong.
Exactly.
You wrong.
Not to mention, everybody is doing this thing from a starting line. Some people are starting so far back. Some of us are starting so far back, so far in a deficit, um, that we're doing so much to catch up. You know, we are spent. Even when when you're on divine path and it's not you pushing yourself, but it's God restoring time. You see what I'm saying? When God is restoring time, He will throw divine opportunity after opportunity, give you energy that you did not have. You know what I'm saying? Put people in your path that just cling to you that just wouldn't have in a different season. And so you're doing a lot already to for people to just give you unsolicited advice. It's interesting to me that adults would do that. It's just interesting to me that adults would do
But
that.
that's the thing. They're only adult in years.
Amen.
They're only
Amen.
an adult in years. That doesn't mean they're mentally or emotionally, spiritually an adult. They're just an adult in years.
I struggle, I still struggle because the imposter syndrome, we were talking about that earlier. It's so real. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what is going on. One thing I don't waver on is motherhood. I've done a lot of things that I would be like, on number two, on baby number two, we are not doing that again. You know what I mean? Um, and I wouldn't have listened if somebody would have given me the advice and told me not to do it because it felt so good at the time, sleeping with him every night. And, and I know where that came from, the mom guilt of working and having him in daycare. And I knew I was a latchkey projecting what I didn't want, because the most, as a parent is don't do to your kid what you didn't like. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Anticipating that it's going to bother them in the same way. That's a whole nother conversation. But at the bare basics, don't do to your kid what you didn't like. And so I had a lot of guilt. And so there's some things I would not let him sleep with me as long as I did again. Or I would, just anything that I would feed him more a variety of different, because the boy don't eat nothing but pizza, spaghetti, chicken nuggets. Like, so I would do so many things different. Um, and there's still a imposter syndrome in that. And I know I'm a good mom. You know what I'm like? I know I'm a good
And yes, you
sales.
are a good
That's what I'm
mom.
saying. Sales dictate whether you're a good business owner. Performance reviews dictate whether or not you're a good employee. Supposedly, you know what I mean? Like those are the markers that we give ourselves, and we know those are skewed. But what we have the hardest time doing is not allowing other people's opinion of what we do in parenting to affect whether or not how we feel about what we do. You know what I'm saying? And usually it's people we respect. So I just started being aware. I'm just in prayer about it so much more than anything else.
Listen, but you are so right. Like there is no measuring stick
Mm-hmm.
for parenthood, and I never really even thought about that comparison of for me, I think about I had OERs or officer
Yeah.
evaluations in the military. I have these reviews on my coaching and mentoring, but people say, okay, she did a good job, in this, or I didn't like this, and you make the correction.
Right.
In parenting, is just kind of like, okay, they're alive,
He's alive today.
they're breathing, they're eating, they're not
He's
hungry.
clean. He
Uh,
doesn't stink.
they took a bath. Okay, I think I'm doing a good job over here. But you know what? I'm gonna be honest. For me, it's the little moments where I have, I'll go out in public and people will say, "Your kids are amazing," and I'm like, my kids, like the ones that give me all this trouble at the house. But I often have people, you can have it, sweetie. I often have people who will say, like, your kids are like literally standing still and being quiet. How do you get them to do that? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I thought all kids, they're like, no. I'm like, well, then one thing is before I take my kids anywhere, I feed them. I make sure they're not
He's
hungry.
got the trick.
Before, because let's say many a times I've had to go and stand in the tag office when we're getting stuff done with cars and all kinds of stuff like that. I go stand in the tag office and it never fails. Someone always says, man, you have some amazing kids. Like they're literally just standing here. I make sure my kids eat. I make sure they have a snack. They're not hungry.
Aren't you
Like,
hangry when you don't eat?
Aren't you hangry when and so like,
I find it so odd that adults who can't regulate their emotions have such a hard time understanding that a child who can't even articulate all of the emotions that he has, let alone express them in a healthy manner, is somehow indicative of your bad parenting. And one thing I always tell myself is, just like when I was laid off at the height of the pandemic, and I had to tell myself 6 months, 11 months, I was laid off for 11 months. And I said, well, 11 months isn't indicative of the totality of my work history. It doesn't speak to who I am as a professional. One bad day, one bad week is not indicative of who I am as a parent. The totality, like the whole 6 years, you mean to tell me you're going to take one day or 1 week, 1 month in the whole 6 years that this boy has been alive is going to define, sometimes you just have to take a step back and realize, multiply them days that he been alive. And then look at this 30. 30 is a long time to feel like a terrible parent. But what I'm saying is, in totality, it's really but a blip, So,
but we do that in life in general, though. If we
Mhm.
think about it, we do that in life. We take that one moment of, hard, tough times, and that's something that I worked on, coping skills, just therapy. I'll say it a million times, therapy.
You need it.
Just understanding how not to over catastrophize.
Whoo, listen, I dabble in the theatrics and love the dramatics. It will be the end of made the food too spicy, child choking, 7 o'clock, had to
Y'all,
make a
she
peanut
talking
butter,
about earlier. She talking about earlier.
had to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Felt like I was like, oh, well, what is happening here? Like, I felt like, I'm like, how can you, how do you do that? How do you put pepper in the back of a 6-year-old's throat? And why didn't you taste his food? What, you know what I'm saying? Like,
You
and
start
it's
asking yourself all the questions
all the
of what,
questions.
why did I do that? And you know what? Sometimes we're moving and grooving so fast. We're just trying to get things done. We forget about it. And my kids do to me all the time, Mommy, this too spicy. Mommy, you forgot. I'm like, oh yeah. Because see, we thinking, oh, I can use a little Lawry's, but Lawry's got pepper in it.
He said,
Lawry's.
he's like his mama. He said, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. He did not talk to me nice. He did not talk
He
to me
said, Mommy,
nice.
this food is too spicy. You cannot do this. And but listen, adults,
This is what I'm
adults.
saying. This is what I'm saying.
Like,
And
why is it that we have such a hard time receiving, accepting, and understanding the dynamics of children when adults
being children.
being children?
When you
They just adults in years.
from week to week, you need an impromptu therapy session, intercessory prayer, and all the other things.
But you mad when your child have a tantrum. I'm telling you, y'all know it because y'all be a part in devotion with me. It get me every time.
It's because nobody made space for you to be that way, and because discipline, fear will curb what is natural. You see what I'm saying? So if you're scared to get in trouble and they've got somebody there that can be like, then you're never gonna see that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and discipline is necessary. Don't get it twisted. A healthy fear of consequence is necessary too, but not so much. Again, whatever works for you, you got to mind your business. That's how we started to circle back. That's how we gonna end that on talk to me nice when you do. If you must mind my business, talk to me nice. But for the most part, if you have a problem, the best thing you could ever do for me is pray for me. Take it to the Lord in prayer. If you see me doing something that you think is detrimental to me and my child or my take it to the Lord in prayer. He gonna get it to me. Because if you lack the skill set to do what you think you're doing, you're not going to do anything but either hurt me, offend me, or put strain on our relationship. See, and what I say the first time, you got to know yourself to know if you're even equipped to be out here
handing out advice, unsolicited advice,
just for the theatrics, just so these people could know who I am. Look.
But listen, I told you what happened to us. It's 9:43.
That is not okay. It's probably me, but it's okay.
It's us. It's us. It's okay. It's 9:43. And so before we go, I do want to give you a chance to just, your top 3 things that you just if somebody came in late who just joined us and they missed the whole conversation, what's 3 things? I mean, obviously they get to come back and catch the replay and they can watch it from the beginning.
Yeah.
But, somebody who's just coming in the room, what is it? What 3 things would you share with them? From being a mom to being an entrepreneur to minding a business, like what, what 3 things would you like to share or more? But just your time to kind of give a, something you want to make sure they leave with so they don't leave with nothing.
Well, be open, because that divine intervention looks so weird compared to what you've got in your mind. You know what I'm saying? So be open to your help not looking the way you envisioned. Number 2, you never been this person today in this place doing what you're doing ever. So if you don't know what you don't know what you're doing, it kind of makes sense that you don't know what you're doing. You've never done today, November 1st, 2021 before ever. You know what I'm saying? So give yourself a little grace, because nobody knows what they're doing. Everybody, like nobody really knows. And last but not least, get you some God and one or two good friends.
Hey, you said a word right there. Get you some God. And one or two good friends. I mean, he had a tribe of 12, but it got narrowed down real quick.
Listen, when he was sweating blood, they slept on him. So I guess maybe 4 things would be, expect disappointment. It will not kill you. Disappointment doesn't always have to turn into depression. When you're healthy, you'll just be sad, and it will not kill you.
Oh, that's good, Tysha.
Yeah.
That's so good. Listen, it has been such a beautiful blessing having you here with me. Look, the time flew by. It's 9:45.
But I had fun. No, this was easy, and I so appreciate you having me. I really do. It's so easy, right?
Listen, so easy. And we're gonna pray. We close. Yes, hello. Jackson just came in. He said hello. But we're gonna pray and close out in prayer as we always do. We always, pull it all in. Tysha left y'all with some beautiful gems. I hope you had a pen and a piece of paper out. If you missed it, go back and watch it from the beginning. She left you with some jewels now. And if you don't do anything with the jewels, you'll be like the 3 with the tenants,
You'll be coming back to this next year.
Listen.
That's all. You'll be coming back to it next year.
If the king give you 1 and you give him back 1, he gonna take your 1 and give it to the one who made 10.
Not the talent.
Yes. Okay, so listen, God, we thank you. We thank you for every opportunity that we get just to share your love, your passion, your joy. Father, we pray that the people who see us, they see our wisdom, they see our peace, they see the grace that you have on us, and that it leaps off the screen into their homes. Father, we thank you for the clarity it is that you give us. We pray that our minds will think of you, our eyes will see you, our mouths will speak of you, our ears will hear you, our hearts will beat for you, the blood flowing through our veins will be for you, our hands will be lifted to worship you, and we will walk within the footsteps that you have designed. And anytime we lay down to rest, we will awaken, refresh, renew, and restore. This has been Mommy Mondays. We're so grateful for you. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
I'm sure she can tell you yes. Oh, it's still more hard. She's 7.
You just helped somebody because you helped me too. What you got?